The series opens with establishing shots of Washington, D.C. Claire Underwood faces a Senate panel regarding her nomination as ambassador and fields questions about nepotism and her qualifications, highlighting her non-profit work. She's specifically questioned about her stance on a UN resolution regarding the Democratic Republic of Congo and illegal mining. Simultaneously, Frank Underwood in the White House meets with his staff to discuss his AmWorks program, intended to create 10 million jobs. But his political advisors express reservations about his upcoming primary elections and do not offer their support. Later, Claire's confirmation hearing continues, focusing on her views on the military and her suitability as an ambassador. Her statements become a point of contention, resulting in the headline, "First Lady, Military is Irrelevant." As Frank learns of the fallout from Claire's comments, which threaten to undermine his political standing, he discusses damage control with his aide and arranges a meeting with Heather Dunbar. Frank and Claire speak on the phone to discuss the situation as Claire attempts to gather support for her nomination. And Frank realizes he needs the backing of party leadership. Frank directs an aide to participate in a conversation while displaying a syringe and bottle of Old Derby. Seth Grayson, with an arm in a sling, receives a call from Under-Secretary of State Alan Cook, who mentions passing Seth's ideas for a new program to Remy Danton, but also advises Seth to hold off on the AmWorks program due to an upcoming summit with Russia. Meanwhile, Claire speaks on the phone to someone during a hearing. Frank learns Claire's nomination is failing and initially plans to appeal to the top 50 donors. Claire informs Frank that this approach is premature and offers her assistance. Believing power is more important than money, but acknowledging money's influence in elections, Frank calls Eric and instructs him to falsely implicate Claire in past actions. Remy Danton meets Alan Cook at a restaurant, where Cook introduces Remy to a woman and then excuses himself. Remy speaks with the woman, an assistant organizer, who reveals she seeks to be vice president and offers information in exchange, mentioning Remy was chief of staff when Walker left and would have been made vice president. She isn't in the inner circle, so Remy tasks her with finding out more information. Frank instructs an aide named David, who is using posters for Freedom Eagles without permission, that becoming one of the chairmen is not free. Claire sends a message to Ayla Syed. David is calling most of the Republicans, but Frank knows he cannot get them all. Claire prepares to go out for a run, dismissing her escort despite the need for monitoring. Leanne Harvey meets with Ayla Syed, who questions the rehearsed way people speak about Frank and reveals she overheard her boss speaking honestly when he thought he was alone, Leanne dismissing it as good leadership. While on her run, Leanne sees her, and Ayla questions why everyone speaks of Frank in a rehearsed way. Back at the White House, Claire finds Frank on the floor, clutching his chest. As Frank struggles for breath, Claire delivers a statement at a press conference, declaring that Frank has been her strength and that she wishes to carry on as First Lady. Later, while on the phone speaking in Russian, Claire is surprised by Frank, who kisses her on the neck. At a later event, Claire selects Easter eggs for the White House annual egg hunt, while getting updates on the vote count for her appointment. Frank approaches Claire as she prepares to address the press after her nomination fails and urges her to proceed with a prepared statement. Afterwards, back in his office, Frank examines a black Easter egg, contemplating his next move while Remy and Leanne await his decision. President Underwood, frustrated by political gridlock and the constraints of his own party, resolves to push forward his unpopular America Works agenda. Claire, seemingly troubled, attempts to contact the president's advisor, but Frank instructs the advisor to stall her and summons Jackie Sharp. The advisor mentions that Sam sent a lobbying strategy for AmWorks that seems promising, prompting Frank to request more frequent check-ins. Leanne Harvey observes that a leadership meeting concluded unusually quickly, raising Seth Grayson's suspicions. Remy Danton is revealed to be orchestrating events with Ayla Syed, warning his contact not to pressure her. During a tense meeting with his advisors, Frank announces he will not seek re-election, shocking his team, and commits to dedicating his full attention to passing AmWorks by reallocating $500 billion from Social Security, Medicare, and entitlements. Despite objections and accusations of division, Frank urges unity around the bill. Afterwards, Doug Stamper receives a message from Seth, confirming his observation of the speech. Frank publicly announces his decision not to run for re-election, arguing that campaigning would detract from his ability to govern effectively and implement the ambitious America Works program aimed at revitalizing failing social services. Later that night, Seth visits Doug at home, acknowledging the chaotic aftermath of the announcement. Late at night, Seth Grayson visits Doug Stamper, questioning if Frank Underwood still intends to run for re-election, a claim Doug staunchly defends, asserting his deep understanding of Frank's unwavering ambition. President Frank Underwood meets with Heather Dunbar, revealing his intention to publicly disclose classified information about a covert drone strike that injured a civilian, arguing the public is tired of secrets and he wants to honor his transparency pledge. Despite Heather's initial resistance, citing legal and national security concerns, Frank persuades her to declassify the information, framing it as a necessary step towards national healing and accountability. In the kitchen, Claire asks Frank to appoint her to a position at the UN. Frank is hesitant, but Claire offers a bargain. After fulfilling this role, she will fully commit to being his wife again, and Frank silently agrees. Following this agreement, Claire is visibly upset and washes her face in the sink, revealing the emotional cost of their arrangement.